we're ready to start Unit 3, which is on geometry. The first thing I would like you to do for this unit is the crossword puzzle, which is in your handbook. It's page 70 to 71. You'll find the crossword puzzle there. The crossword puzzle is geometry terms that you should at least be familiar with. Any of them that you don't know, you can look up online. I'm sure if you Google them, you'll be able to find their definitions. This is a good exercise for anyone that wasn't good in geometry or didn't have a real good geometry course. It will help you at least get used to some of the terms and what they mean. I am going to go over a few of the terms. Some of them they're on the crossword. I may not actually give you the definition for, but you might need to know the definition for some of the problems on the worksheets. So have that crossword puzzle close at hand when you're going through the unit in case you come across a term that you're not familiar with. And that's one of the difficulties with geometry that students have. It's really got its own vocabulary. And if you don't know the vocabulary, you will become confused, maybe frustrated, because we're talking about things that you don't remember what they are. So if there's a term that you don't know, make sure that you figure out what it is. Because there are many terms that you need to know the definitions of. And that's what we're going to start with. First, we have supplementary and complementary angles. Supplementary angles are any two angles with a sum of 180 degrees. So any two angles that have a sum of 180 degrees are supplementary. Complementary angles are two angles with a sum of 90 degrees. Complementary comes before supplementary alphabetically, and 90 degrees comes before 180 degrees, if you need a way to remember these. If you have two angles on a straight line, you know that those two angles have to be supplementary because those form a straight line, and a straight line is 180 degrees. Complementary if you know that you have two lines that form a right angle, that's what that little square means. If you see a square, it's a right angle. Then you know that those two angles form a 90-degree angle. Sometimes we will label the angles with a lowercase letter. Sometimes we will label them with a number. Just be careful. If we label them with a number, that doesn't mean that's 1 degree. That means that's one, or angle number 1. So those are the first two terms that you need to know. We also will have vertical angles. Vertical angles are two angles that are formed by intersecting straight lines. That pair of angles are vertical angles. And that angle and that angle also form vertical angles. Any pair of vertical angles are equal. So if I knew that this was a 60-degree angle, then the angle vertical to that would also be 60 degrees. The other pair of vertical angles in this diagram are also going to be equal. To find their measures, I've told you that two lines or two angles on a straight line are supplementary, which means they add up to 180 degrees. So to find this angle, I would simply take 180 and subtract 60. That gives me 120 degrees. For that angle, the angle vertical to that would also be 120 degrees. So in a diagram like this, you only need to be given one angle and you should be able to find the other angles. So those are vertical angles. In any triangle, which I'm going to label ABC, if I take angle A and add it to angle B and add that to angle C, that will give me 180 degrees. The angles in any triangle have to add up to 180 degrees. What if I have, instead of a triangle, I have a quadrilateral? A quadrilateral has four sides. You don't know the measures of any of the angles, and you really don't know anything about the sides. But I do know that if it's got four sides, I can draw a diagonal. And if I label the angles, the angles in this triangle, angles 1, 2, and 3, they have to add up to 180. The angles in the other triangle, 4, 5, and 6, those have to add up to 180. Notice I haven't done anything to the angle here and here, except I divided it in two to make it a triangle. So to find the angle measures of the angles in the quadrilateral, I just have to take the first triangle and add it to the second triangle, and I get 360 degrees. That is the angle measurement in any quadrilateral. Any figure that has four sides, the angles will add up to 360 degrees. Another figure that we look at quite a bit in geometry looks like this. Now, it is important that this side and this side are parallel. And that's often how we mark parallels. They're not arrows at the end of the line, but in the middle of the line. If we have arrows in the middle of a line, that means that they're parallel. If those are parallel, these angles that are formed by the third line, which is called a transversal, have special properties. If I number these, we have 8 angles there. We already know that vertical angles are equal, which means I know that this angle and that angle have the same measurement. We also know that that angle and that angle are vertical, so that they have the same measure. Because we originally said that the lines were parallel, I know that angle 4 and angle 5, they're called alternate interior, but the important thing is they're equal, which means that 5 is the same as 8. Well, if 4 and 5 were equal, 3 and 6 must be equal. And 6 is vertical to 7, so we have those equal. So if you have a diagram like this with 2 parallel lines that are intersected by a transversal, you really only have 2 angle measurements. And unless they're all right angles, one measurement, 2, 3, 6, and 7, will all be acute angles. Acute means that they're less than 90 degrees. And we have 1, 4, 5, and 8. Those 4 angles are obtuse, which means they're greater than 90 degrees. Another thing that we know about these angles, any pair, if you pick one purple, angle 1, and one green, angle 2, they're going to add up to 180 degrees. We knew that from the information that we looked at earlier, but that also means if we look at angle 1, which is purple, and angle 6, which is one of the green ones, that's also going to be 180 degrees. And again, that's because all the green angles are the same and all the purple angles are the same. So if we have one of each, it's going to be 180 degrees because many of them form a straight line. But if you pair 1 with 6, you know that 6 and 3 are equal. So if 1 plus 3 is 180, 1 plus 6 is going to be 180. What I need you to do now, I've given you information, quite a bit of information in a very short amount of time. The angle measurement worksheet which is pages 25 through 27 in your handbook. You need to do that. And the other thing, there are 4 other worksheets that I will post. They have not been posted yet, but I will get them posted for you. In those worksheets, they give you a diagram, and I'm just going to sketch something similar to what you might have. And it's got lots of different intersecting lines. A lot more than what I have drawn here. And they give you a little bit of information. They might tell you that this is 100 degrees. Mark what they tell you. If they tell you this might be 110 degrees. Some of the other angles will be labeled. Some aren't. What I want you to do is find all of the angles in the diagram. For instance, if this is 100, you know that angle 2 is 80 degrees. If that's 110, that's not marked, but you know that it has to be 70 degrees because those add up to 180. And you're going to go through the whole diagram and find all of the angles. And when you find them, I want you to write the measurement inside the angle like I have here. There are a couple places where you end up in the center of the diagram with well, let's just say a triangle like this that is so small you can't really fit all 3 of the numbers in. I have redrawn the triangle larger and just fill the numbers in the larger triangle. So that is the work for the beginning part of this unit. I have posted office hours. I've had some students that had difficulty getting into my office hours. You have to use the link that I have posted. I don't use just going into Blackboard Collaborate because it has one class assigned to it. I need students from all of my classes to be able to see me during office hours. So I have designated a specific room with a Blackboard link for you to come to my office hours. I'm not real busy during the office hours, so if you have questions, come and ask. If you need help with these 4 extra worksheets, I will come and help you. In the past, when I actually saw the students in my class and we met in a classroom setting, I gave them class time to do these worksheets, and I helped them as they ran into difficulties. So if you can do all of these without help, that's great. But if you're having difficulties with them, see me. I've tried to scatter my office hours so that depending on what your schedule is, you should be able to try to see me at least once a week. If you cannot get into my office hours, send me an email and I will try to make an adjustment or do something so that we can meet. I'm here to help you. And these worksheets take some time. Don't have 15 minutes before they're due and decide you're going to finish the 4 worksheets. It might take you a little bit longer than that. The nice thing is there's not a lot of work to show. All you need to do is make sure you fill them in correctly. Good luck with your geometry.